announced 3 things 8 years ago. The first change, you're going, this is why this document is only coming out now. They were waiting for these 3 things, these markers. The first marker is, the first thing that will happen is that the ETH, the terminology, will drop aside and be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Think about the reason why they're doing that. Secondly, is that people will be utilized to distribute information to a large audience about the paranormal connotations of UFOs, just like Leslie Keane and other people. Well, I know astrophysicists. Elizondo is now talking about that. In fact, he says in a very interesting interview, when we really find out what's it all about at the end of it, I think it will be a very somber moment. Well, yeah, I agree, Elizondo, absolutely, because some people will not know how to deal with this, And that's a big problem. And third marker was that we're going to see people in academic places. Diana, for one, who's come out, Pasulka. She's a professor. She's come out and she's telling the world what she's found. There are astrophysicists. There are doctors. I've got a list of 40 of them. We would never have talked about this sort of stuff. And now they're coming out and saying it. That was the third marker. Now it's ready to release our document because people are accepting that now. So when we release our document, it's going to be basically telling them that this phenomenon's always been here. It's been right under their nose, and we cannot control it. We cannot master it, and we are puppets on the string. It's not nice to hear, but it's true. And it's not a matter of managing this phenomena. It's about compliance, as if only the best word I can put there. Learning to live with it. Because, things are changing. And like I say, they all want the flock at the end of the day. They did it, they did it with Lourdes, the most religious place in the world. Millions of people travel there every year. She didn't see Mary. She actually confronted the church about it. I didn't see Mary. What she said is she saw that thing in the cave and it communicated with her. That's not the first time. Exactly the same sort of thing is reported to have happened to Leonardo da Vinci. He stayed in a cave in France and was communicating. Where did he get his inspiration for all this stuff? He's a muse. He's no different than the rocket geniuses and Tesla and all these people have managed to build things and create things well ahead of time. He was another one doing the same thing. And there are hundreds of them.
Now, when you say the 3 markers, did you set the markers or did the phenomena set the markers?
That's a good question. Really good question. Well, at the time, we realized that we can't release this. We can't be the first people, a scientific study, SEP, to go out and deliver this and be the first people to it. We need the general public to be in acceptance or hearing it from somewhere else. And then what we'll do is then we can kind of ease in. That's the process. We can never be the first. That's kind of a process that we deal with. We don't want to, hey guys, this is, and be, trying to be revolutionary doesn't work in this subject, It's a matter of small steps and digestible chunks. And we had to wait for those markers. We knew it was going to happen. When myself and Barry mentioned it 8 years ago, we said, wait for it. It's going to happen. People said, oh, don't be daft. Don't be stupid. And we thought, okay, let's wait. And it's happening. It's illuminating our work now, of course. And now it's being recognized that this is the right time to release information because there's already a footprint out there for it to be delivered to, rather opposed to being the first to the stage.
Now, have you had any communication or have you interfaced at all with the Ministry of Defense or, the American equivalent, the Pentagon? Have they approached? I mean, you mentioned Hal Puthoff, so there's like a...
Okay, well, it's funny because this is the second time I've been asked this in a week. I was asked to go onto a show in America, and there was a gentleman there who I know. He's been in very high places with the US government, and he was on the phone with somebody else or on a call. There was another computer. There was some other guys there called the Advanced Working Group. I don't know who the Advanced Working Group were. And he was getting questions from them to ask me on the show. I thought, what? And the first question was, am I having involvement with MI5 or MI6 in the UK? I was like, no, do you think I am James Bond? What about...
The right answer is that you know of.
Yeah. I mean, it's any involvement with CIA and that sort of stuff. And no. I mean, I know my stuff because I've always had one foot in that camp since 7 years of age. And we've done the research in the right way to illuminate the phenomena. We've escaped the ruse and what people would prefer us to believe and got off evidence. If you go off the evidence, then you believe don't come into it. But it was intriguing. No, I haven't had, and though I was at NATO for a while in engineering, but that was a short-lived thing and didn't do that for that very long. And that's really, everything else has been this work, to be honest with you, full time, and just plowed at it for years and years. Of course, you know what, it's not always easy because making ends meet in this subject, this is, if you want to earn the real good money for this, it's not the job for you, you know?
Right.
But I started doing TV work and I ended up writing some stuff and I ended up being on shows. I've been on loads now, it's too many to remember. Radio, writing, tutoring, lecturing, the research, the investigation, documentation. It's just a mountain of things we like to do 10 times more than the person just normally working to make those ends meet. But I just plow everything back into the research because I want to learn as much as I possibly can while I'm here on Earth. Because, to be honest, time goes fast on it, Sean. It goes faster as time goes on, to be honest with you. And that illusion of our brains getting ready for ready for death, it's going to happen to all of us. It's a natural process of state. And we've done lots of research into that area as well. But it comes to time when you think, what is more? Is there? There's got to be more to life than this. And asking the important questions. Because at least I might be able to leave a little bit of footprint behind where others might pick up and say, okay, I'm going to continue this research. Because I think we are gearing up in regarding nearing a truth that we might not want to hear.
Right.
But let's not think that we do have some control here because we have this consciousness about us. And that is a very, very important aspect to all this phenomena. People haven't had a foot in the camp for a while, just never knew because they have consciousness. It's as simple as that. So for me, it's about, that's the journey. It's got to be more than just this.
Now, you mentioned something, I kind of let you go on it but it's intriguing. You said something about, or implied that they had control and we might as well just come to the make our peace with that. And so is this the phenomena control mechanism that kind of prods and pushes humanity forward, or is it something that is trying to retard our progress, or is it we have no idea?
I know. The thing is how we look at this. We've always considered it an external force, an external intelligence. But what if that is the reality? This is a program. It's a program. The phenomenon is a program, and it learns to adapt. And if it doesn't work the first time, or you see through the veil, it will change its appearance and change the way it does stuff to make it work the second time. It learns, it takes our information and utilizes it against us. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, it makes silly mistakes sometimes. You don't get it right sometimes. And that's the proof in the pudding because, we might have an incident that took place in, modern times when the UFO had portholes and rivets on the windows. And you think,
right. Or airships in the 1890s. Yeah.
Exactly the same. They don't always get it right. It's quite funny, but it's how the program would work. You can expect the program to kind of do that, but they learn and evolve. They're always evolving. They evade, evolve, deceive. They don't want us to figure it out. Maybe not supposed to all figure it out. We are supposed to accept the fact that, who is God and what is God? What are deities? What are demons? What are angels? Well, all these non-human intelligences, whatever they are, they all seem to be coming from the same source. And I don't think we need to be scared of it because it's always been there. It's just because I'm illuminated it now, going, oh my God, what's that stood in the corner? Well, that's reality, just kind of seeing it for the first time. And I think that's part of us growing and consciously. And we have to accept that there is, people have good experiences, people not so good experiences, people have some really bad experiences. But it is just a gender, no different than the gods and how gods would treat us, But there's something in it. And they are intelligent, they're always watching. And this is why the space program throughout the world is all based on that. And this is why, even up to current day, as Paloska said, the launches and things that are happening that we don't get to hear about, they're all significantly detailed ritualistic aspects to it, to the whole launch, to the whole program, even down to the badges that they wear that you don't often see and have alien faces on and all that sort of thing. On the side of the rockets, they've got ancient Latin, Enochian in some cases, all sorts of different things. And it's like, we must pay homage because that's how we got to space. This is why, when astronauts landed on the moon, before planting the American flag, the Masonic flag went in. They've talked about this, the astronauts. Masonic flag goes in first, not the American flag. It's all about homage because we wouldn't got there if it wasn't for them. And we're still doing it today. It's still happening now that we are gaining information, to advance ourselves. In that's what they want us to do. They want us to advance ourselves. So, but I think we need to advance here as well, consciously. And we are doing. We're playing catch up.
Yeah, that's basically what the lady with Bledsoe kind of explained, that we're like gardeners and we're here to tend the garden.
I have not come from the UFO side. I've come from the paranormal side, and then just realized, it's all the same.
Yeah. That one's like, he will tell you, he won't insist it's UFOs, even though it's kind of put into that category. He would say it's more of a spiritual phenomenon. But I think
it's easy to manage it, though, isn't it? That idealism of these vast distances of space they're going for. Of course, they're all bipedal, got 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes. You want to see something alien? Just go to the bottom of the North Sea. It sounds too much a bit like a Star Trek episode that they're all coming from various planets, all a bit.
Yeah. Well, look, I can come up with any number of scenarios that could explain it, right? Maybe we were seeded, like a panspermia thing, and they've been here all along. I think there's the one thing that is common throughout. I think they've been here for a very long time, whatever they are. If they're either, came from here, if they came from a distance, they've always, not always, but they've been here.
I think they passed. I think they've said things and they've said, we come from this planet. I mean, in the 1920s, and
it keeps changing, right?
So in 1920s, back to me. What, all right, so it might be probably a US base in the back of the moon, I don't know, but that might not be the case. Of course, in that the case, then we've come from Venus.
Right.
And now it's like, we came, in the 70s, came from Mars. And now it's another planet, and they're going further and further and further out.
Zeta Reticuli.
Always beyond reach. Yeah. Always beyond reach. Because the thing is, it's right here on something. You want the phenomenon, it's right here under our noses. Yeah. And sometimes, they don't like us prying into certain things. There are some research myself and Barry's been involved in Project Doorway, which they didn't want us to get into, and we got the old slap on the hand for that. And sometimes we have to, with the protocol means we have to respite now between certain parts of research because they don't want us looking into certain areas. And when they do, it's not a nice experience when they come visiting. And
what are those areas? I shouldn't ask that question, but I can't stop.
Right. Well, let me just say, one of those areas because we're doing research regarding so without getting too involved, it was Sumerian demonology. But Sumerian demons are dogmen. Why are people seeing dogmen, werewolves, those sort of cryptic phenomena? The cryptic phenomenon in the UK, and don't know if it applies to the US, but the cryptic phenomenon in the UK is a physical poltergeist. It's a fear feeder. They're not predators in the sense. We think of predators when they chase you and chase you and chase you and scare you to death and incite and and also bring on fear, induce it purposely. Terrified, not very terrified people fall to the ground. All they can do is freeze and hope in that instinctual thing like that rabbit caught in headlights. If I don't move, it won't see me, which is a waste of time. This thing gets up to the top and it's huge, it's growling, it's big fangs, and the people see these things. I know they have these experiences because I've witnessed some of these things. I know how the phenomena can manifest in anything you want. And what's it do? Well, any predator, we know what's going to do, don't we? There's dinner's on the floor ready and it's not running away, No, it doesn't. After it reaches that point, it's kind of, what we're going to do, and it just runs away. It's all about the fear. It's all about generation. And it's just to say it's poltergeist phone. Poltergeist phone is a fear-feeding parasite. This is a physical fear-feeding parasite. That's what it does. It wants to cause the same actions
The answer to this is most assuredly no, but I'll throw it out there anyway. Has anyone ever confronted one of these things, like run at it?
Oh no,
I didn't think so.
no, no, because it induces. You know what? This phenomenon presses our buttons, just like sleep paralysis and everything. It can reach it. It knows your deepest fears, and it will heighten them a 100% more. Where you're not scared anymore. You are terrified. I mean, terrified to the point where you just want to curl up and die. Terrified. It's beyond normal. People have had these experiences in the backyard. They're comfortable. They know the location. Why should they fear? And they get confused as well. They're called, where am I? Sort of thing. Well, you should know where you are. It's called cognitive limitation. It happens. That phenomena does that. That's why people don't take photographs when they've got a camera in their hand. You know, it's cognitive limitation. You can do that as well. You know, this phenomenon, it's about fear feeding. It's the same phenomenon, but a different method and a different master producing it. We have it in the UK, you know, and it's all part and parcel of the same thing. But when we got into Sumerian demonology, we couldn't help get into some of the Babylonian stuff. We didn't expect to get into that area, but it's the same stuff. Crowley did a little bit of that, but it's not supernatural, really. It's just ancient, you know. Mm-hmm. But we didn't get into it, so we just skirted around. But whatever we did, they didn't like it. Barry lives in Ireland. I live in the UK. And it started off after doing that days of research, just coming home. And around about, I think it was about 5:30 in the evening, I just had to get up and go outside. You know, I just occasionally have that. It's like a taste of a lemon. You never get the taste. You don't if you're an experiencer. I knew, okay, all right. So, and I do, and I go outside the back door, and there's a not a light in the sky, there's a craft in the sky. And I took video, took photographs of it, and it's just sat there. And basically, okay, you know, and it just sat there. And it sat there. And eventually I got bored and went in. I just did. And I see a lot of these things regularly. And I did. And it was a topic of conversation. Yeah, it's another one. You know, we're used to it in my household. And if you're with me, you'll experience that as well. Not just me, you know, anybody in my circle experience. And it's a topic of conversation quite a lot because anybody I'm with partner and that, they would be, you know, we just have these experiences. But I was honest with her when I first met her. I said, look, you're going to experience some weird shit. You know, you are, because my life's been that. And it was like, oh, yeah. And so it happens. And we've had all sorts of things. She argues with me, please stop bringing my work home with me, you know. But on that particular night, that's how it started. And then it was the early hours of morning, around about 3:05, interesting time. I got up to go to the laboratory, and I got back in bed, and I just turned over just to get comfy, and an arm came up from under the bed, through the bed, and round me, and the other one came over me, and this thing grabbed hold of me. As I normally do, I'm furious, you know. I don't scare, I'm furious, I'm angry, I'm fighting this thing off. And I struggled to get this thing off. In the meantime, the process of that was I'd ripped the bed covers off, the pillows on the floor, the duvet, it was half ripped off. And yet my partner didn't wake up. She wakes up, a little drop of it. She didn't wake up. And I knew then it's phenomena. And this thing, eventually I did. But then I was up the rest of the night because I was just anxious and angry. This is when we're getting a slap on the hand. Back off. Respite, you know, don't be poking your nose in too fast too soon. He doesn't like it. This phenomenon, because we've been involved in it, myself and Barry and, you know, and other colleagues of mine, so long, the door's never shut. They peek in and watch us, monitoring us, what we're doing. Sometimes I think it's just a matter of, I don't like that, you're annoying us. And when we're writing a book at the moment, myself and Barry, and there's respites involved because of the stuff we're putting in there. But sometimes things come with completely, we're pretty attuned. And we're not, I won't say psychic, but we're tuned, you know. It's like, we know when one of these things is around. Sometimes something comes out when you have no idea this thing was even there. You know, your normal warning mechanisms, there are things that can be completely blind to us, be right in front of us. We have no warning mechanism. Most of the time we do. But sometimes, they have things that don't. So you have to respite through some of the stuff that we do as well, because we've got families, we've got partners, and we don't want the hitchhike because it can be bad. It can rip through a household with a tremendous amount of negativity, just as he did with Bigelow and Poltergeist stuff. And then he's losing his family members one by one, and then a dog, and all sorts of problems, financial, and all everything. And he said, I wish I'd never conducted some of those experiments. I know what some of those experiments were. I wish I'd never been involved in some of those experiments at Skinwalker. It was the experiments, the enticing, the invocation, that poses the problem. And 3 other Nick guys that said, and they had the same thing, I'm never going back there. Well, I don't blame them. It's a taste. There's a sting in the tail on sometimes. And they tracked it back home, and they had some, I don't want that. I can't afford to have that. So I have to pace myself being involved in certain aspects of this phenomena. But it's small amount on a regular basis, not a large amount. Small amount on a regular basis, I would say.